Peace. It's your guy, young Eli. Eli, my God, my Lord. However you choose to want to translate that, or even just Eli is cool. But this is the Gifted Mind State page where you come to get your mind straight. And we're only dealing with facts, no opinions. Logic over emotion. If you don't know how to balance the two. We do. So today on this live that I'm doing, my first live actually, I wanted to watch this Malcolm X video, right? Hajj, Malik Shabazz. And this is this was taking place on February 15th, 1965. And this was 6 days before he was assassinated. Same place too. This is the same place where he held his last speech, which was Audubon Hall. So I just I'm bringing the information to basically most of what he's saying, or some of what he's saying. And yeah, so if you haven't seen it, well, enjoy. Other than that, if you don't want to listen to the interruptions, the link is in the description. You can the link is in the description, so you can definitely click that and you'll be able to watch it without hearing me pause it and give my little commentary here and there, because for me it's kind of crazy, you know, but it is what it is, right? So with that being said, let's get into it.
If my neighbors are not safe, because of events out of our control. As many of you know, last Sunday morning, about 3 o'clock, somebody threw some bombs inside my house. Normally, I wouldn't get excited over a few bombs, but the one who threw these not only aimed them in rooms where there was no one, but aimed them in rooms where 3 of my daughters sleep. One daughter 6, one daughter 4, and one daughter 2. And since I am quite certain that those who threw the bombs knew my house well enough to know where everyone was sleeping, I can't quite bring my heart to the point where it can in any way be merciful, or from now on compromising toward anyone who can be that low. Especially when I heard on the news today that Joseph, a brother that I found in the garbage in Detroit in 1952, that's where I found him, made the statement that I had bombed my own house. Now you see, this doesn't surprise me, because I know that since many of us left the Muslim movement, its intelligence and its morals have gone bankrupt. Both its intelligence and its morals have gone bankrupt. And now they are using the same tactics that's used by the Ku Klux Klan. When the Klan bombs your church, they say you did it. When they bomb the synagogue, they say the Jews bombed their own synagogue. This is the Klan tactic. And tonight, I'll tell you why the Black Muslim movement is now adopting the same tactics against Black people as has been up to now the exclusive method of the Ku Klux Klan. I want to point out, too, that I'm not talking about Muslims just to make white people happy, because I don't believe in letting anyone use me against somebody else. I'm telling you these things because it has reached a point where I feel that black people in this country need to know what's going on. And I'm talking about an organization which I had a hand in building, which I had a hand in organizing. I know its characteristics. I know its potential. I know its behavior patterns. I know what it can do and what it cannot do. And one of the things it can do is bomb your house and try and kill your baby. Before we get into it, I would like to point out also, as many of you know, last Tuesday or last weekend, I was invited to address the first Congress of the Council of African Organizations in London. They had a 4-day Congress from the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and had invited me there to make a closing address and bring the delegates from the various African organizations that are situated on the European continent up to date in regards to the struggle of the black man in this country in his quest for human rights and human dignity. And in conjunction with that invitation, I had gotten an invitation to visit Paris from the Afro-American community in Paris, which was sponsoring a rally in conjunction with the African community. And I was supposed to go there Tuesday also and address them and let them know the state of development or lack of development of our progress in this country for human rights or toward human rights. As many of you know, when I got to Paris, the man said I couldn't come in. Some man, French man. They gave me no explanation other than to say, we have our orders. They wouldn't let me phone the American embassy, and they tried to imply that the American embassy was behind it, which I told them that I didn't know de Gaulle had become a satellite of Lyndon B. Johnson. I knew that Kennedy had made a satellite out of Khrushchev and Britain and half of these other countries, but I didn't think that France was a satellite of the United States. Well, this made them angry because they like to be independent, you know, or pretend to be independent. But they wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't let me phone the American embassy. And later on, when I got back in London, and by the way, when I got back to London, there was about 20 different delegates. There were delegates from about 20 different African organizations on hand at the airport, and they were going to raise hell if anything had happened other than what should have happened. As it was, I re-entered England with no trouble, and immediately got in telephone contact with the brothers and sisters who were in Paris by telephone. And they pointed out that they had encountered some difficulty, first from the communist trade union workers. Mind you, communist trade union workers had prevented them from renting their hall, and when they went to get another hall, the same communist group had exercised its influence to prevent them from getting that hall. And finally, when they did get a hall, evidently someone was strong enough to exercise influence over the French government. And I might add that while I was in custody of the French, every time I made a request, before they would say yes or no, they telephoned the French Foreign Ministry, so that they were taking their orders from someone as high up in the French Foreign Ministry who did not want me to enter France. And there's a reason for it. I don't blame them. And because, and I told them while I was there, that maybe my plane got mixed up, and I was in South Africa, in the wrong country. I told them it couldn't be Paris, it must be Johannesburg. And they got red. And you know how they can get red. One of them was pink.
Look at that. That is how powerful that man is. The fact that they didn't want him to unite with other people that look just like him, dealing with the same type of circumstances. You know, they didn't want him to open their minds up. And it's crazy. I got the clips. I got the news clips. They in the slides. We're gonna definitely see those right after the videos finish. But powerful, man. Crazy.
The same thing happened in England. As many of you probably read in the Sunday Times and Tribune, there was a great fear in England concerning me speaking to the West Indian community. And this is because England has a very serious color problem developing, because so many of our people are migrating there from the British West Indies. France, quietly as it is kept, has a very serious color problem developing because of the migration to France of our people from the French West Indies. And with these people from the French West Indies, black people going to France, others from the British West Indies going to England, coupled with the Asians who are coming from the Commonwealth territories, along with the Africans from French Equatorial West Africa, formerly into France and the British possessions into Britain. There's a large, increasing number of dark-skinned people swelling the dark population of France and Britain, and it's giving them a great deal of cause for worry. The only difference over there and over here being that no one of black skin in France has ever tried to unite the dark-skinned people together, neither have they done so in England. So you can somewhat see what their fear is. No effort has been made to unite the Afro-American community or the American Negro community with the West Indian community, and then those two communities with the African community, and those communities with the Asian community. This has never been done in either England or France. But when I was in France and to come to Alabama and organize the black people of Alabama and pull the sheet off the Klan ourselves.
And I got a slide too where he there's a meeting where he was talking with the Klan, all set up by Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But yeah, let's continue. Look at ABC there.
And we can do it. Brothers and sisters, we can do it. And the federal government won't do it. Since then, they've been talking about a little investigation of the Klan and the Citizens Council and the Black Muslims and some of the others. But they're not going to do anything. The only way the Klan is going to be stopped is if you and I organize and stop them ourselves. That will stop it. You may say, well, why am I so down on the Klan all of a sudden? I'm going to tell you why. And why did I shift my attack from the black Muslim, Elijah Muhammad and his immoral self, to the Klan? Yes, he's immoral. You can't take 9 teenage women and seduce them and give them babies and not tell me and then tell me you're moral. You could do it if you admitted you did it and admitted that the babies were yours. I'd shake your hand and call you a man, a good one too. But anytime you seduce teenage girls and make them be charged with adultery, make them hide your crime, why, you're not even a man, much less a divine man.
Sheesh.
So, and this is what he did. He took at least 9 that we know about. And I'm not speculating because he told this to me himself. Yes, that's why he wanted me dead, because he knew that as soon as I woke up, I'd tell him. 9 of them, not 2 of them that are suing him, but 9. And the FBI knows it, the law in Chicago knows it, the press even knows it, and they won't expose the man. And you don't let me get off of here tonight without telling you why they won't expose it, why they're afraid to expose it. They know that if they expose him, that he has the most, see, the black Muslim movement, it was organized in such a way that it attracted the most militant, the most uncompromising, the most fearless, and the youngest of the black people in the United States. That's who went into it. Those who didn't mind dying, they didn't mind making a sacrifice. All they were interested in was freedom and justice and equality, and they would do anything to see that it was brought about. These are the people who have followed him for the past 12 years, and the government knows it. But all of these ultra militants,
You know, it's crazy. That is how they got him into the nation. What he said. What he said. He said they were young. They were militant. They didn't mind dying. Where did they get him at? They found Malcolm in jail. They found, look, when most people be going to jail, they're like, they feel like they hit rock bottom in life. Some people turn to religion, whether it's a survival tactic or they really turn to it because they feel they being tested. And this right here,
they didn't mind making a sacrifice. All they were interested in was freedom and justice and equality. And they would
freedom and justice and equality. Where would people who feel like that, you know, like, come on.
Anything to see that it was brought about. These are the people who have followed him for the past 12 years. And the government knows it. But all of these ultra militants have been held in check in an organization that doesn't take an active part in anything. And therefore it cannot be a threat to the movement again from January 1961, because most of the action that Muslims got involved in was action that I was involved in myself. Wherever it happened in the country, where there was an action, it was action that I was involved in because I believed in action. I never have gone along with no Ku Klux Klan. Or, and another one that he had made a deal with was this man Rockwell. Rockwell and Elijah Muhammad are regular correspondents with each other. You can hate me for telling you this, but I'm going to tell it to you.
I got the slides with Rockwell too. Rockwell, look, you see them, they right there. They came to the NOI rally. And there's a publication where it's documented that he spoke. So yeah, I got the Rockwell, I got the KKK publication as well with a story from, I think his name was Jeremiah. We're gonna get into it after the video though, but it's coming up. It's coming up, baby. Woo.
Rockwell attended the rallies because Elijah Muhammad put the okay on it. And Sharif, the captain of the FOI, and I had discussed it, wondering why Rockwell could come to our meetings, because if Elijah Muhammad and the Black Muslim movement were to crumble, that all of those militants who formerly were in it and held in check would immediately become involved in the civil rights struggle, and they would add the same kind of energy to the civil rights struggle that they gave to the Black Muslim movement. And there's a great fear, you know yourself. White people don't like for Black people to get involved in anything to do with civil rights.
That reminds me of Black Lives Matter. Hands up, don't shoot. That reminds me of, see, and this is why the Black Panthers was inspired by this man right here. Because what he said, he was about action. And this is what they wanted basically them to do to the organization, which was make them non-violent, which was in the same agenda that MLK had at the time. So, I mean, this is coming from this man's mouth. You see him speaking it. He's saying that these people had no part in anything that has to do with our community. I don't know about now, but he's talking about, but this is back then, right? And then he's also talking about how they're held in check by the honorable, who's basically doing deals with the Gov and these white supremacy groups. It's crazy.
Unless those Black people are nonviolent, loving, patient, forgiving, and all of that. They don't like for themselves. And there has been a conspiracy across the country on the part of many factions of the press to suppress news that would open the eyes of the Muslims who are following Elijah Muhammad. They continue to make him look like he's a prophet somewhere who is getting some messages direct from God and is untouchable and things of that sort. I'm telling you the truth. But they do know that if something were to happen and all these brothers were their eyes camps were to come open, they would be right out here in every one of these civil rights organizations making these Uncle Tom Negro leaders stand up and fight like men instead of running around here non-violently acting like women.
Yeesh.
So they hope that Elijah Muhammad remains as he is for a long time, because they know that any organization that he heads, it will not do anything in the struggle that the black man is confronted with in this country. Proof of which, look how violent they can get. They were violent, they've been violent from coast to coast. Muslims in the Muslim movement have been involved in full calculated violence. And not at one time have they been involved in any violence against the Ku Klux Klan. They're capable, they're qualified, they're equipped, they know how to do it, but they'll never do it only to another brother. Now, I am well aware of what I'm setting in motion by what I'm saying up here tonight. I'm well aware. But I have never said or done anything in my life that I wasn't prepared to suffer the consequences for. Now, what does this have to do with France, England, the United States? You and I are living at a time when there's a revolution going on.
A worldwide revolution.
It goes beyond Mississippi. It goes beyond Alabama. It goes beyond Harlem. There's a worldwide revolution going on, and it's in two phases. Number one, what is it revolting against? The power structure. The American power structure? No. The French power structure? No. The English power structure? No. Then what power structure? An international Western power structure. An international power structure consisting of American interests. But as the African nation died, we became proud of it. And being proud of it, we begin to have something
yeah. So that's one thing about this this video. And not even just this video. This is honestly all the clips that they were able to recover. So it was shot by CBS, by the way, but yeah, this is the video that was put in correct order. And yeah, as you see, the clips is messed up, but don't worry, the information is still there, man.
Journey was to Mecca to make myself an authentic Muslim and to bring them there up to date on the problems that our people who are Muslims have. As soon as we established our religious authenticity with the Muslim world, we set up the Organization of Afro-American Unity and took immediate steps to make certain that we would be in direct contact with our African brothers on the African continent. So the first step that has been taken, brothers and sisters, since Garvey died, to actually establish contact between the 22 million the 22 million Black Americans with our brothers and sisters back home was done by two organizations. Done first by the Muslim Mob, which gave us direct ties with our brothers and sisters in Asia and Africa who are Muslim. And you know we've got to unite with them because there are 700 million Muslims. And we sure need to stop being the minority and become part of the majority. So as Muslims, we united with our Muslim brothers in Asia and Africa. And as members of the Organization of African or Afro-American Unity, we set out on a program to unite our people on this continent with our people on the mother continent. And this frightened many interests in this country. Many people in this country who want to see us the minority and who don't want to see us taking too militant or too uncompromising a stand are absolutely against the successful regrouping or organizing of any faction in this country whose thought and whose thinking pattern is international rather than national, whose thought patterns, whose hopes and aspirations are worldly rather than just within the context of the United States border or the borderline of the United States. So this has been the purpose of the OAAU and also the Muslim Mob, to give us direct links, direct contact, direct communication and cooperation with our brothers and sisters all over the earth. And once we are successful in uniting ourselves with our people all over the world, it puts us in a position where we no longer are a minority who can be abused and walked upon. We become a part of the majority. And then if this man over here plays too rough, we got some brothers who can play as rough as he. So that's all I have to say about that. I wanted you to know that my house was bombed. It was bombed by the Black Muslim movement upon the orders of Elijah Muhammad. And when the bomb was thrown, one of the bombs was thrown at the rear window of my house where my 3 little baby girls sleep. And I have no compassion or mercy or forgiveness or anything of that sort for anyone who attacks children. If you attack me, that's one thing. I know what to do when you start attacking me. But when you attack sleeping babies while you are lower than a... The only thing that I regret in all of this is that 2 black groups have to fight and kill each other off.
Damn.
Elijah Muhammad could stop the whole thing tomorrow just by raising his hand. Really, he could. He could stop the whole thing by raising.
Mind you, this was February 15th, 1965. He died February 21st. This was 6 days before he died. He said it's sad that 2 black groups got to kill each other off. But it can stop if he just stops it. But I don't know how I feel either. If motherfucker throw some bombs, some cocktails into my kids' room. Come on, the kids. But look, I ain't got a bias. I'm just bringing forth this video because I know a lot of people haven't seen it, and I wanted to also bring forth the facts to it because I know many are not gonna fact check it. So,
but he won't. He doesn't love black people. He doesn't even love his own followers. Proof of which they're killing each other. They killed one in the Bronx. They shot another one in the Bronx. They tried to get 6 of us Sunday morning, and the pattern has developed across the country. The man has gone insane, absolutely out of his mind. Besides, you can't be 70 years old and surround yourself by a handful of 16, 17, 18-year-old girls and keep your right mind. You can't do it. So from tonight on, there'll be a hot time in the old town. With regret, with great regret. There's no organization in this country that could do more for the struggling black man than the Black Muslim movement if it wanted to. But it has gotten into the possession of a man who's become senile in his old age and perhaps doesn't realize it. And then he has surrounded himself by his children who are now in power and want nothing but luxury and security and comfort and will do anything to safeguard their own interests. So I feel responsible for having played a major role in developing a criminal organization. It was not a criminal organization at the outstart. It was an organization that had the power, the spiritual power, to reform the criminals. And this is what you have to understand. As long as that strong spiritual power was in the movement, it gave more strength to the believer that would enable him to rise above all his negative tendencies. I know, because I went into the movement with more negative tendencies for the betterment of the community by any means necessary. And since tonight we had to get into this whole nasty negative subject, we didn't want to bring up our program. We're going to I mentioned the conspiracy between the Muslims and the right wing in this country. I know for a fact that there is a conspiracy between the Muslims and the Lincoln Rockwell Nazi and also the Ku Klux Klan. There is a conspiracy. Well, the Ku Klux Klan made a deal, or were trying to make a deal with Elijah Muhammad in 1960 in the home of Jeremiah X, the minister in Atlanta at that time.
Well, that clip actually just came out too last year, but I had the clip in the slides.
The minister in Philadelphia, they were trying to make a deal with him to make available to Elijah Muhammad a county, a size tract of land in Georgia or South Carolina, where Elijah Muhammad could then induce Negroes to migrate and make it appear that his program of a segregated state or separated state was feasible. And to what extent these negotiations finally developed, I do not know, because I was not involved in them beyond the period of December 1960. But I do know that after that, Jeremiah, who was the minister throughout the South, could roam the entire South and the Klan not bother him in any way, shape, or form, nor would they bother any of the black Muslims from then on, nor would the black Muslims bother the Klan. Are you inferring on your life? The attempt could have been made upon my life. Are you inferring that because of this conspiracy, the attempt was made on your life? Not necessarily that conspiracy. The attempt was made upon my life because I speak my mind and I know too much. And they know that I will speak it whether they like it or not.
See, he could be talking about the government right there, and he could be talking about the nation. But the simple fact, though, they both were part of the shit. Like, this shit is crazy. Like, this whole conference here was telling. I don't understand how a lot of this went over their heads to where the same people he was exposing dealt with no consequences after his death. It's just mind-boggling.
Am I urging my followers to take action against Muslims? No. Am I going to try and infiltrate their organization and win over some of their supporters? No, I have never tried to win supporters from Elijah Muhammad. Since I have left the Black Muslim movement, I've spoken at these rallies. Those who come, those who don't. But I've never gone out of my way to win over any of his followers. And he himself is careful because he knows that you don't have to exercise too much energy to win his followers. As soon as they know truth and compare the two. And by the way, this is the brother. This is Leon Almair, who was Cassius Clay's secretary, whom they beat unmercifully up in Boston. And the court freed the men who beat him. They fined him $100, was it? Fined him $100. And he was on the inside of the Black Muslim specialty spot. And I know it. And it was he who heard Elijah Muhammad Jr. come to New York when Elijah Muhammad was at the Armory in June of last year. Jr. stood up and told the fruit, many of whom are here now also, that I should have been killed, that my tongue should have been put in an envelope and sent back to Chicago by now. And because Fat Joseph had not done it, they demoted him. He remained captain, but Clarence up in Boston was put over Joseph. And Joseph's authority was curtailed. And then Clarence, the captain from Boston, and John, the captain from Springfield, came to New York to assassinate me and came to him to get a silencer and couldn't get it. So that the police know this. It's not something that's new. They just wait until the job is done and then they step in. Yes, now, Elijah Muhammad called all of his officials, national officials, to Chicago in October and ordered them to kill or maim any of his followers who leave him to follow me. Well, when you say, how do I know? Many of the brothers who were in at that time are out now. And if this ever come into the court, there are plenty of witnesses who can stand up and testify to it. Pardon?
He just going off.
I'd rather not say at this time. Who's the next one? Give him 2 more minutes. Give them 2 more minutes and we'll end it. Yes. Yes. When I said that no one can clean up our homes but us, and that we will clean it up, including and no one should control it but us, including the politics. What do I mean? I mean exactly that. That the black people. You're thinking of who? Powell? Powell's one of us. No, he's not a member of our organization, but when I say he's one of us, I mean he's one of them. And no one outside the family can get us to talk about it. If we talk about him, we talk about him within the family. But nobody outside the family can instigate us against Powell. Yes, by controlling it politically, I mean that the politics of the community of Harlem.
Now, I just want to point out right there, there's a lot of people who would feel, I guess they wouldn't like this. They would say that was the contradiction, because why is he speaking out against the NOI then? But you got to remember, this right here, this speaking wouldn't have been held if they didn't bomb his house just the other night, right? So this is the whole reason why he's even there speaking. He's he's angry. They could have killed his girls. You know, that's serious. So there's a big difference.
Be controlled by those of us who live in Harlem, not by somebody sitting down in Gracie Mansion. Sir? No, but the Organization of Afro-American Unity intends to get involved in every kind of action that's going on in New York City. We don't intend to let anybody downtown influence us in any way, shape, or form. We want the influence to come from Harlem and from other Harlems around the country. Now, this doesn't mean we're outside of Harlem. This doesn't mean we're anti-Bronx or anti-White Plains or anti-white or anti-German or anything like that, but it means we're pro-Harlem. We're pro-ourselves. We want to start doing something for ourselves. That's all it means. It means that we want to stop begging you for your school. We want you to get out of the way and let us straighten out the schools in Harlem. Yes, sir. I just answered it when I said from tonight on there'll be a hot time in the old town. I answered it when this gentleman over here asked. It's a song that we used to sing. An implication, an implied threat. I never imply any threats to anyone. I'm a Muslim. My religion is Islam. It's a religion of peace. And sir, yes, I do believe there'll be further attempts on my life. I know them. They're foaming at the mouth. The rank and file Muslim means well.
How ironic that he says that. And then 6 days later, he's assassinated in the same place that he's speaking right there. How ironic. Sad.
Hierarchy, who are living off the fatted cat, who don't mean well. And this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock, as I say, our program will be unfolded. Elijah Muhammad knows he has done some good things and he has done some bad things. He knows that if he had wanted to, he could have united our people with the Muslim world just by teaching the right religion of Islam. He could have done so. The entire Muslim world would have accepted him. As it is now, the Muslim world has rejected him. He can never go into the Muslim world saying that he's a prophet or that Allah came over here in the flesh. They would cut his head off if he said that over there. I mean, he knows this. None of his followers can go over there without denouncing him. It's impossible for them to go to Mecca or any other place unless they ascribe to Islam as it is ascribed to over there. So he was in a position to unite us with the Muslim world, those of us who are Muslims. He was also in a position to unite us with Africa. But you cannot read anything that he has ever written that's pro-African. I defy you to find one word in his direct writing that's pro-African. You can't find it.
Isn't that like every other Muslim movement that we have in America? Every other Muslim movement that we had was basically not pro-African. They basically tried to deter you from Africa, right? It's crazy.
Listen to this question this man asked me. What are you trying to get at? No, he asked me, listen, I got to tell him what you asked me. He asked me, don't I think if I got hurt, wouldn't some of my followers retaliate? What are you trying to say? Or what are you trying to get me to say? I mean, it's okay. I'm not going to get you in any trouble. These are your friends in here. But I just want them to hear what you're asking me. That's all. I just want them to hear what you're asking me. You wouldn't get no trouble in here, would he? No. Yes, sir. Last question. I'm under a civil court order to get out of my house in Queens. I only heard, somebody told me that they heard that on the radio. I know nothing about it. And I haven't discussed it with a lawyer yet, and I won't make any comments until I discuss it with a lawyer.
What if that was why they bombed his house? Headlines about him not leaving. He just spoke on the fact, though. He said there's no civil court order for him to leave that house. So, that house was under the nation. Yeah, the nation actually owned that house, but he just refused to leave, which is, it is what it is. But what if that was their tactic? By the way, though, that shit was still fucked up because, like I said, his girls, his daughters, they wouldn't even be here today,
Things are there. Sir? Some have been in the vicinity, yes, and some policemen, too, have been nice enough to watch the house ever since it was bombed. I wish they had been watching it while it was bombed. Yeah, a great deal of my personal belongings were lost. They threw 4 bombs in there. I might point this out, that these who did it were so vicious, and those who did it knew the whole layout of the house. And to show you why I believe in Allah, the bombs that were thrown into the front part of the house were thrown directly against the window, so they came through. But before they threw the first one, the neighbor saw someone go up to the window with a mop-like instrument and break the window, crack the glass. And then they threw the bombs in after the glass was broken. And that was in the front part. Now they had come around, so they had planned to do it from the front and the back so that I couldn't get out. They covered the front completely, the front door. Then they had come to the back, but instead of getting directly in the back of the house and throwing it this way, they stood at a 45-degree angle and tossed it at the window, so it glanced and went onto the ground. And the fire hit the window, and it woke up my second oldest baby. But the fire burned on the outside of the house. But had that gone through that window, it would have fallen on a 6-year-old girl, a 4-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. And I'm going to tell you, if it had done it, I'd taken my rifle and gone after anybody in sight. I would not wait. And I say that because of this. The police know the criminal operation of the Black Muslim movement, because they have thoroughly infiltrated that the city police don't know about, because they have policemen in there. They don't let black people form anything without some policemen in there. And while I was in the Black Muslim movement, or the Black Muslim movement, many of the police who were sent to infiltrate us, they're black, would tell me, say, look, I'm a cop, but I have to come. They would tell me. I knew the Muslim movement was full of police. So don't you think anything is going down that they don't know about? The only thing that goes down is what they want to go down. And what they don't want to go down, they don't let it go down. One last question, yes, sir. That's what I said. The Muslims claim I bombed my house. Yeah, no, well, you can take what you want. The Asim squad, the fire marshal, all of them are experts in this kind of thing. And if anybody can find where I bombed my house, they can put a rifle bullet through my head. It was my children and my own life and my wife's life that was at stake. In fact, let me tell you something. I stood Sunday morning. You know what what temperature was? It was about 15 or 20. I stood in my underwear, bare feet, in the middle of my driveway with a gun in my hand for 45 minutes, waiting for the police or waiting for the fire department to come. If I want to put on a show, I can find a better way than that to put it on. That's all. There's our brothers and sisters. There's here's the Saturday Evening Post, dated February the 27th, 1965. And in it, there's an article titled, "An Ex-Official Tells Why the Black Muslims Are a Fraud." This is one of the brothers in Boston who was formerly the secretary up there, and who is the cousin of Ronald Stokes, the brother who was killed out in California in April of 1962.
I got the Ronald Stokes slide too.
And I would like to say this before anything else, and that is, don't think that I don't know how bad I make myself look by attacking an organization that I was once so inseparably a part of. But I'm not particularly concerned with how bad it makes me look. My prime concern is to expose it to the fullest of my ability. Let the chips fall where they may. And if the Black Muslim movement says that I'm wrong in what I say, then I say, since they are so well qualified and equipped, let them attack the Klan. Let them go find out, and let them get the person who bombed that church in Birmingham. Because I'll go get them. I'll go and attack the Klan and attack Rockwell and any of the others. And I defy them to do so. They can't do it. Because they both the same name now.
Woo! What? They both got the same paymaster. You heard the man.
So now our question period. And you have to stand up because I can't see beyond this man's life.
Did he just want to jump out the window? And I am appealing to you and the rest of us here who have columns and our concern in heart. What can we do? And what must we do to avoid something else like this?
This is what I meant earlier when I said concerning the importance of our controlling Harlem. As long as we have outsiders running our hospitals and our schools and our everything else, they will run us right on out of existence. I would suggest that you come over to the office and see what we can get our heads together on and see what we can do. Anything I can do, I certainly will, and I know all the brothers and sisters will. Tell his wife. No, I shake his hand and he's all right. But first he got to get all right.
Yeah, so this is the
standard
end
of judgment from a Muslim.
The rest of the video is basically just showing Audubon Hall and showing show the people in there. You know, it's 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 a pretty, like I said, it's a pretty dope video. I probably watched this video about 35, 45 times. You see, there's the people there. Fast forwarding it. This dude right here, over here, covering his face. Maybe he's covering his face because of the light. Sure. So, first thing he was talking about was when he was in France, right? Well, first when he was in London, he got to Britain, and then he got to France. So here it is, right here, February 9th. February 9th. Mind you, like I said, this video that we just watched, that was February 15th. So this is 6 days before he had that speech. And it's crazy because 6 days after that speech, he dies. But yeah, 6 days before that speech, he's in London. I mean, he's in Paris. He went to London, then he went to Paris. They stopped him. They wouldn't let him speak to the people. That's crazy. Held him in custody, he said. If he was paying attention. If not, the link is there in the description. You could go back and watch it as many times as you want. This here is showing the date of when they bombed his house. As you see, Black Muslims leader Malcolm X surveys cement where one of the two cocktails were thrown at his home February 14th, 1965. Fucked up. Next slide. Look at this. The weird times Nazis made common cause with Black nationalists. The Black nationalist Nation of Islam and the American Nazi Party didn't have a lot in common, but they did believe in staying as far away from each other's race as possible. Now, there's context behind that, though. Elijah Muhammad did not want segregation; he just wanted to be separated. So, I mean, I really don't know. What's really the difference? I guess he did separation as far as like completely separated, you know, not dealing with each other at all. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. So here, you see this guy right here, George Lincoln Rockwell. He is here at the NOI rally. I believe this was in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. He's at an rally. He was there to speak, and it was crazy. I got to find an article. There's an article out there where they documented what he was saying, and he was basically saying, you know, we call you niggas, but at least we do it in your face. Would you rather be disrespected in your face, knowing we don't like you, or would you rather be around people who's gonna fake it and say it behind your back, but still be around you? Which he was, you know, they both express anti-Semitism, as they call it, even though I'm not even gonna get into the whole Semitic thing, but yeah. Next, just so you know it's real, look, that's them. They there. They chilling. They chilling. See? Just a side view. You see the NOI in the back. So when Malcolm said that he was wondering why was George Lincoln Rockwell, leader of the neo-Nazi political party, there, right? Well, not even political party, neo-Nazi party, right? Why were they there? There you go. Can't say he was just trying to say, oh, Elijah Muhammad didn't have no connections to no white supremacist group, right? But it's right there. Why would they be there if they supposedly don't respect them? They supposed to both not respect each other. Next, this is what was this? Was this the Ronald? I think this was, let me see, in 1930. Oh yeah, the Ronald Stokes. Yep. So the death of Ronald Stokes and the birth of Black Power in Los Angeles. 1930, W.D. Fraud formed the Black religious and social movement known as the Nation of Islam in Detroit, Michigan. When Fraud mysteriously disappeared in 1934, his disciple, Elijah Muhammad, which both of them just came out of the MSTA, but assumed control until his death in 1975. During the mid-1950s, NOI national spokesman Malcolm X was instrumental in establishing Mosque number 27 in Los Angeles. So, what was it? Let's see, there we go. Mosque Secretary Ronald Stokes was killed as he approached LAPD officer Donald Weiss with his hands up. William Rogers was shot in the back and paralyzed for life. LAPD officers also entered the religious temple, brutalizing members, tearing clothes on their backs, searching for weapons, and defiling their religious sanctuary. It's fucked up. Historically, Black people in this country have not been allowed to defend themselves against white supremacists, police, or otherwise. Sound like that still to this day. Malcolm X openly told Black people they did not have to continue to be abused, that they had the right to protect themselves. The killing of Ronald Stokes placed Malcolm X at the center of a national controversy of police brutality. Then Malcolm X became a fixture in the Los Angeles trials, not against the police, but the unarmed members of the Nation of Islam who had been shot. Malcolm X launched a nationwide speaking tour that turned Ronald Stokes into a major figure in the Black freedom struggle. Although unarmed Black men were shot and killed that night, a young generation of Black people were galvanized. When abuse by police continued, they exploded with the Riots Rebellion in the summer of 1965, ushering in the Black Power movement in Los Angeles. So next, here it is. This is where they talk about the Klan. Well, what do you mean we can't join the Klan? That is the headline for Politico. I believe it's a political magazine. So the Klan invitation led to a meeting in Chicago between Jeremiah X, remember that's Malcolm he mentioned, Jeremiah, Malcolm, and NOI leader Elijah Muhammad, also called the Messenger by adherents, where they mulled over what such a meeting might look like. Malcolm envisioned himself grabbing the Georgia Klan by the ear and riding the wolf in his very own den, at all the behest of Elijah Muhammad. Once for all, a squaring off with the Klan leader could clarify the Muslim stances on integration, Christianity, mixed marriage, the Jews. So yeah, you see, they had their little meeting. Where was it? Because I'm not trying to read all of this. Getting parched over here. Here we go. Muhammad instructed Malcolm and Jeremiah to pitch to the Klan that white America owed Black people an allotment of land as partial payment for more than 300 years of slavery and Jim Crow exploitation, and that the inability of the two races to coexist would be eased by Elijah Muhammad's setting up of a Black separate state. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. He wanted to be separate and not just segregated. So, where we go. After a period of small talk and offers of refreshments, Jeremiah reminded fellows that he might want to invite the rest of his friends in, given the threat from the top of the meeting. Fellows went outside to call in several lean, middle-aged Klan colleagues. One of them was a preacher, South Georgia outfitted in a gray suit and tie. The others were dressed more casually, including a rural politician in long sleeves. Although more nondescript than the diminutive fellows, his buddies were not. His buddies were no less tight-lipped and hard-eyed. At least one of the Klansmen was an FBI agent. or FBI informant, a fact likely unknown to other vigilantes, including Fellows. This undercover man was dutifully file notes on the Muslim meeting. He dated January 30th, 1961, with his control agent at the FBI Atlanta field office. Racial turmoil in the area had become a federal matter. So as you see there, Klan was infiltrated, NOI was infiltrated, government was just all up in there. So now this clip here I had seen, I was just like, this one was pretty interesting.
Personally ordered attacks upon you?
Oh yes, this brother was a captain. He was one of the karate experts who taught karate on the entire East Coast, Eastern region, and he was in the inner circle. And he pointed out that in October, he didn't cease being a captain, but his influence or authority was placed beneath that of Clarence, the captain who was in Boston. Clarence was put over Joseph, and shortly after that, as Leon Amir testified, Clarence, the captain from Boston, and John, the captain from Springfield, Massachusetts, came to New York to carry out the so-called assassination. And they came to Leon looking for a silencer for their gun. Well, see, I understand all of that, but they popped half a.
Remember, Leon was in the video that we watched earlier. Yeah, he was the one that he showed in the video and said they came to him for the silencer.
From my house here in the home of Alvin, who's also one of Elijah Muhammad's men, looking for a chance when they, make their move. But thanks to Allah, they didn't get a chance.
Alvin X was a gifted piano player who played on the popular hit song, "A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell," sung by Louis X, who also played violin, Alvin X on piano, C. Sybil on guitar, M. Assaroon on bongo, W. Brewster on bongo and conga, and K. Husband on bass. The extended play two-sided 45 RPM record was released in 1960 and was beautifully performed by all the artists. It is now a collector's item. Alvan X was the brother of Louis X, now known as Louis Farrakhan.
In luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality, we walked Silken Road. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door.
All right, brothers and sisters, this behind me is the home of Malcolm X. Minister Louis Farrakhan's brother, Alvin Farrakhan, stayed right there. Turn that camera around. Where you're looking at Danny's grocery store, right above, he stayed in apartment 2B. That's Alvin Farrakhan. Again, the proximity. Just for your information.
As many of you know, last Sunday morning, about 3 o'clock, somebody threw some bombs inside my house. Normally, I wouldn't get excited over a few bombs. But the one who threw these not only aimed them in rooms where there was no one, but aimed them in rooms where 3 of my daughters sleep. One daughter 6, one daughter 4, and one daughter 2. And since I am quite certain that those who threw the bombs knew my house well enough to know where everyone was sleeping, I can't quite bring my heart to the point where it can in any way be merciful or from now on compromising toward anyone who can be that low. Especially when I heard on the news today that Joseph, a brother that I found in the garbage can in Detroit in 1952, That's why I found it. Made the statement that I had bombed my own house. Now you see, this doesn't surprise me because I know that since many of us left the Muslim movement, its intelligence and its morals have gone bankrupt. Both its intelligence and its morals have gone bankrupt. And now they are using the same tactics used by the Ku Klux Klan. When the Klan bombs your church, they say you did it. When they bomb the synagogue, they say the Jews bombed their own synagogue.
Making Klan moves, why? Because we already seen.
This is the Klan tactic. And tonight, I'll tell you why the Black Muslim movement is now adopting the same tactics against Black people as has been up to.
So the next slide is, this took place 20 years, right? This took place 20 years after Malcolm had passed.
Man, sending before the world. Now he's dogging his teacher. What do you think we felt? Elijah Muhammad wasn't just a leader. That's our spiritual guide and father, brother. You don't have to order me to kill you. If you attack my father, my orders come from my love. I want you to hear me good, because every Muslim that loved Elijah Muhammad would have killed Malcolm if we had gotten a chance. No, I don't need no damn applause. I want you to think now. We didn't incite that. Malcolm incited that in us. He would have been dead. He would never have lasted a year.
Mind you, he didn't last a year after that speech, by the way. Lasted about 6 days when he came out with all of that. This clip, you know, I clipped it here because it was like, it's always been a head scratcher, you know. But it is what it is.
Elijah Muhammad told us, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Told me to my face, leave him alone. Elijah Muhammad enough that if you attack him, I'll kill you. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I'm not a killer, but neither are you. But if somebody attacked what you are, each one of you in here would become a killer instantaneously. Am I lying? Mother, let somebody look like they're attacking your child. There's a woman who fought a man.
He said, let it look like someone is about to attack the mother's child. Now, when he says that, we can tell that the context means physically, but Malcolm didn't threaten Elijah physically. So it's just like, that shit right there was a head scratcher, you know. But then again, we're gonna go here to the history makers. This is an interview with the minister that happened December 14, 2010. So it says, after attending the annual Savior's Day address delivered by Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan decided to join the NOI in 1955. Farrakhan became minister of Muhammad's Temple number 11 in Boston, Massachusetts in 1956. 9 years later, he was appointed by Elijah Muhammad to serve as minister of Muhammad's Temple number 7 in New York City. Farrakhan worked with the Harlem community to improve the quality of life in the neighborhood, but the decisions made by Imam W. Muhammad to make the NOI resemble Sunni Islam prompted Farrakhan to gather his own supporters and rebuild the NOI based on the leading principles of Wallace Farrar Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad. Farrakhan first assumed the role of the leader of the NOI in 1978. So now, if you see right here, 1956, 9 years later, he was appointed by Elijah Muhammad to serve for Temple Number 7. If you know about Temple Number 7 was Malcolm's temple. 9 years after 56 is 1965. But on that note, I'm going to leave this video right there. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't annoy you with my little commentary, but this is what I want to do more often. I want to, things that I have done extensive research on, I do want to bring the information to the front. So those who have, who have never heard of this information, who don't know anything about it, can learn. Because it's always good to be aware. Information is important. Knowledge is power. And that's the whole purpose of Gifted Mind State. Is why I created the page. And we're here to help get your mind straight if you ain't got it straight already. Like, subscribe. If you want more content like this, let me know. If not, let me know. Either way, I don't care because I'm bringing more content like this anyway. Hope you have a good day. Appreciate you.